So, have you ever caught yourself thinking, I know exactly why I keep doing this. I know exactly why I behave this way. You know yourself so incredibly well. Well, because you've read the books, you've listened to the podcast, perhaps you've even been to therapy, you've done the hours of journaling, you've reflected on your behavior. You can explain your childhood better than anyone, and yet you still find yourself reacting in exactly the same way. If you've ever wondered, if I understand myself this well, why do I still keep making the same mistakes, and why am I stuck? If that's you, I want you to know something. You are not failing. You are not healing incorrectly, and you are certainly not alone. Neuro-heart alchemy has allowed me to work with an incredibly diverse amount of people. And if you haven't taken the Neuro-heart alchemy assessment to discover your archetype, then please click the link in the video at the bottom and go ahead and try it. It's free. One of the archetypes I have seen a lot of is one that I call the intellectual mystic. And this may apply to you already. Intellectual mystics are naturally curious. They are thoughtful, incredibly reflective. They score really high on emotional intelligence. They are the people who everyone else turns to when life becomes complicated and needs to be figured out, because they have the wonderful gift of insight. They ask the most beautiful questions, and they are 100% committed to understanding themselves. And yet, despite all of that awareness, many, maybe you, quietly carry a question that few people hear. Why hasn't all this understanding actually changed me? I understand that question because for many, many years, it was my subconscious question too. So one of the things that I just find fascinating in all of this is that your mind and your nervous system don't always learn in the same way. Your mind learns through information, through books, conversations, reflection, and insights. Your nervous system learns through experience. Your nervous system pays attention to repetition, to emotional significance, to what felt repeatedly safe and what repeatedly felt dangerous. It's not a conscious process, it's subconscious. That means something incredibly important. You can intellectually understand that you are physically safe today, while your nervous system is still responding to experiences that happened years ago. The nervous system is not defective in any way, because it was, or it has actually learned from the experiences that it has been exposed to. And it has learned these lessons so very, very well. And understanding is incredibly valuable. Understanding reduces confusion. It gives us language. It helps us realize there is a reason I adapted this way. For many people, it's the first time shame begins to loosen its grip, and that matters deeply. But what I have come to understand through my work and personal experience is this. Understanding often reduces confusion. Understanding alone does not always create transformation. Why? Well, because your nervous system isn't simply responding to what you know, it is responding to what it believes is still necessary for your survival. If somewhere deep inside, your nervous system still believes perfectionism keeps you safe, it will continue reaching for perfectionism. If it believes people pleasing protects connection, it will continue people pleasing. If your nervous system believes hyper independence prevents disappointment, it will continue carrying everything alone. And this isn't because you are weak or because you lack some kind of insight or knowledge or understanding. And it's not because you are resistant to change. This happens because your nervous system has not yet discovered that something different is safe. Coming to this conclusion changed everything for me. For years, I believed that if I just understood enough, everything would eventually click into place. And understanding did help. I love learning. And it taught me, understanding gave me compassion. It gave me language. It helped me to stop asking what's wrong with me. And it gave me the tools to start asking what happened that made me feel this way, that made this adaptation feel necessary. And that question changed my relationship with myself. But eventually I realized something else. My mind understood my life logically. I could comprehend why I reacted the way I did. However, my nervous system was still operating under the assumption that it needed to protect me from something painful. The distinction was not always the same thing. The beautiful thing is, this doesn't mean that you are stuck. It simply means understanding is one part of the journey, not the whole journey. My dog is with me. He's just spotted some other dogs. But once we understand what our nervous system has been trying to protect, we can begin creating new experiences that gently help it discover something different. Then safety can feel different. That rest can become possible. It can learn that connection doesn't always end in disappointment, that mistakes don't automatically lead to rejection, and that asking for help does not make us weak. And as we repeat these experiences, little by little, our nervous system begins collecting new evidence. And eventually, the adaptations that once felt essential become optional. Not because we forced them to disappear in any way, no, not at all, but because they are no longer needed in quite the same way that they were before. So, to put this into context, this is actually one of the reasons I developed the Neuro-Heart Alchemy method. I didn't do it because I believed people needed more explanations. On the contrary, there are already extraordinary psychologists and researchers and professionals, authors, teachers, helping us understand why we behave the way that we do. And their work matters enormously. Their work has transformed my life. The question I became fascinated by was different. Once we understand the nervous system adaptation, how do we help the nervous system discover that it no longer needs the adaptation? That question became the heart of Neuro-Heart Alchemy because understanding ourselves is profoundly important. But I also wanted to explore how understanding could become lived experience, and that happens through language, conversation with ourselves, and making it safe to do so. So if you've ever found yourself saying, I understand why I do this, but I still can't seem to change it, I hope you'll leave this conversation today knowing this. Perhaps you've been expecting your mind to do a job your nervous system has not yet had the opportunity to experience. Understanding isn't the finish line. It is often the doorway. And perhaps you are not nearly as stuck as you believe you've been led to believe. Perhaps your nervous system is simply waiting for enough new experiences to discover that the world that it learned to survive is no longer the world it has to live in, because you're a grown-up now. And if today's conversation resonates with you, I would genuinely love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had a moment where you understood yourself completely and still found yourself repeating the same behavior pattern? I'd love to know. And if you would like to begin exploring your own adaptive patterns, please do take the free Neuro Heart Alchemy assessment using the link below. And if these conversations help you understand yourself with just a little bit more compassion, I hope you'll join me here. Subscribe to the channel and explore the Trust Archive together. We're exploring not just why we become who we are, but how lasting change becomes possible. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today.